Hi guys, welcome to my tiny home. So if you're subscribed to my channel, you have felt and went through all of the things that have gone into making over this camper into a tiny home. And today I wanted to do an updated tour. The last tour I did was right as we were moving into it, and there has been some changes that I have done since then. So I wanted to walk through, kind of show you those things, and also possibly answer some questions that I've gotten in the last little while on tiny living. I'm going to start out here in the kitchen. So this was probably the part that I was most excited about doing, and I really did a lot of thinking about how I wanted to put each thing into the cabinets, where I needed things to be. If you guys have been subscribed for a while, then you know that I have a cooking channel as well, and so I've been doing a lot of cooking in here, and I needed basically the basics of things that I use a lot in my cooking. So I also installed a lot of the strip lights in here. So the switch is actually up inside this cabinet, and it controls the lights that are underneath of here, and then they also go inside of these cabinets. Then there's also a light that is above the sink area here. I have some dirty dishes. You got real life here. But another thing that we did is I went through and took all of the old RV lights that were in here and replaced them with white LED lights, which really helps in the evenings and whenever it's dark outside for it to feel really bright in here, because the lighting that was in here was really yellow looking, and that was a super inexpensive upgrade to really make a really huge difference in the RV. And up here I have part of my pantry, and I actually also have my air fryer. It's something that I use all the time, and it actually is plugged in up here along with where the microwave is plugged in, and this one does not get very hot. I've had questions about using this up here, because I do use it up here, and it does not get very hot at all. In fact, yeah, I just make sure the door is open when it's running, and it works really well for me. And then going on the other side, around the corner here, I have more jars and more storage, and this was a cabinet that actually didn't even exist here, but I put these cupboard doors on, and there's more jars and storage up there. I did change out the faucet. I added in an IKEA drawer system, and then I also added an IKEA chopping block up here. For the countertops, I just actually put down some contact paper over top of the old countertops, and then I also put in a like edge to make it squared, because these were round countertops, so that kind of helped to give it a more homey feel. And then I went ahead on the backsplash the whole way around to that side, and I put sticky tile. Alright, as you can see, the kitchen is really small, and so I wanted a little extra counter space, and I went ahead, and this was a TV cabinet, but I went ahead and took a lot of that down. And when you guys see me cook in my cooking videos, this is generally where I cook. And I also have a little setup where I have LED lights that can be turned on here, and I can adjust them with my phone, and it just gives me a little more prep space whenever I'm cooking. Alright, so we'll just kind of go to what is naturally next, and that is my room. And this is the most recent update that I did in here. My desk, putting that in here, and I actually converted this into a twin size bed. It was a queen, and it just works out well for me since it's just me sleeping in here to have this, and it gave me a lot more storage on the bottom. I get questions on what I do with my clothing, so I do have a lot of storage space on the sides for my clothing, and then on that side as well. But down here underneath, I do roll up a lot of my clothes, and I feel like I actually have a pretty large closet area for a tiny home compared to a lot of other people's setups. One other little feature that we added in whenever I redid all of this was this little section, and it's not super organized looking. I have my mop in there, I put my tripods in there, my workout mat, just like long random things. And it was actually, it's probably one of my most used spaces, oddly enough. But it's a nice little quirk to what we were able to do with the bed. And this has been kind of one of my more recent like areas that I organized and stuff like that. I put up this little space. I also have a cart down there that has a lot of my stationery and things like that that I enjoy. And obviously this is probably one of my most used spaces just because I'm constantly editing and doing things for my videos. Alright, moving out this way is kind of like our living room space, and we kind of had to think about this, especially with if we wanted to use a TV in here. So we were able to actually make this TV pull out. It's got an arm on it and it can swivel out this way so that we can use the bench couch here. And the other thing that's great about this is it is the length of the bunks that are on that end. So an adult could sleep on this, and it could be used for another place to sleep. And of course, with living in it full time, having a lot more storage underneath of here was really important. It's a big mess right now, but we're not going to talk about that. And then over here, we did take the original booth out. So having a table that fit in here well was important, and we found this on Wayfair, and it fits in here perfectly, and we're able to pull it out to clean the floors and all of that, which is really great. Moving into this end, it gets a little bit more narrow, but this is the bunkhouse end, and this cabinet right here was originally, I think, supposed to go with the bathroom setup, but I didn't need this much space for just some towels. So I went ahead and flipped the door around and I turned it into my pantry. And again, I put some LED lights in here just to be able to see, and it is really deep. So back in there, I have like overstock of things and stuff like that. All right, so this RV, and I will leave the name of the RV in the description box because I get that question a lot. They want to know what make and model it is, so I'll leave that in the description box. But this specific one has kind of like a split bathroom. So here is the bathroom sink with the mirror and a little cabinet underneath of here. And then on this side is actually where the bathroom is, and I will show you guys that in just a minute, but I wanted to show you a few technical things. So this switch actually operates the heat and the AC. And you just kind of adjust it like you would a normal thermostat on a house. And then right over here, this would control a gray tank if I used it, and there is one that is attached to this, but I'm actually like hard piped in to where I'm parked right now. And then this here I've talked about before actually in my vlogs, but this controls the water heater that is electric, and then this is the gas. So basically, if I'm going to use a lot of hot water, I generally switch it to the gas because it can produce hot water a lot faster, but if I had it on all the time, it would be constantly burning up gas. So just for normal everyday things, I just have it on the electric, but if I'm going to do showers and dishes and things like that, I switch it to the gas. And then down here we have a couple of things. This is just an electric heater that we did install in here just in case the gas would go out or anything like that. So there was nothing here. We just cut a hole in there and put that in there. And then down here is the panel box or electrical controls, just like you would have in a house. Alright, so over here is the shower area and the toilet, and it's a tight little spot, but it does the trick. I did put a mirror in here to kind of help open it up, and it does have a pretty large shower for an RV in here, and it works great. I've even taken a bath in this. Alright, so this is Kylia. Hi. And she is going to vlog and show you guys the bunkhouse.
This is Emmy's room. This is a toy closet where you play. This is a box. It doesn't have a lot of toys in it. This is a closet. And then over here, this is how you get to my bed. Here is Hazy's room. And then over here is a kind of table with all our stuff on. And then over here is really my room. Here I climb on the table. And over here.
Yeah. Fun to be able to vlog like mommy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And then here's my room.
Okay, she went outside to take some pictures with her camera. But I wanted to sit and answer a few questions that I've gotten about living tiny. So I get a lot of questions about how we did the winter in a camper. So two things that I would say that really helped us get through a winter in central Pennsylvania, which we had so much snow this year, was one, we have a custom made skirting that is the whole way around the camper on the bottom, and it just attaches with small snaps. and it has zippers, and it would, like, the camper was taken somewhere and actually measured, and the skirting was specifically made for the camper. So it doesn't necessarily insulate the bottom, but it does help a lot because the wind can't blow underneath of the camper, and it just helps it to hold in heat a lot better. And then the second thing that we did is we purchased insulated roller blinds. And the reason I'm telling you this, or the reason I'm emphasizing this especially, is because in the afternoons, as it would get colder into the evenings throughout the winter, I would close the blinds, and immediately, as soon as I went through the camper and closed all of the blinds, I could tell a temperature difference almost immediately. So that was such a huge part of, I think, making it through the winter, and we were never ever cold. Another thing to note about this camper is that the heating is in the floors. So the tubing, the air vents run under the floors, and then they have the vents that the heat comes out of. So I think that helped a lot too, with the fact that our floors were always warm. We didn't have one single day this entire winter that we were cold, or that the gas heat couldn't keep up. Like, we didn't have to use the electric heater, you know, to help amp the heat a little bit. It just really did well on its own with the skirting and the roller blinds. So the other thing too, like I said, is I'm actually here parked at my parents' house, and I don't have to use my gray tank or any of the tanks really, because I am connected to the water system and to the sewer system here, and I don't have any problems with having to empty tanks. Another little funny question that I would get a lot is, how do you get privacy with living with your kids and just having some time to yourself? So at night, what's really nice is this end of the camper does have that pocket door that's right there behind my mirror that I can just slide shut, and I'm completely alone here in my room. It also is really nice in the morning time whenever I get up super early and I'm like kind of working. I can go out, make my coffee, come in here, close the door, and I'm also kind of secluded away by myself. Another little tip is that something that I use a lot is a sound machine. So I will have that on in the end where the girls are sleeping, and so then they are not bothered. I can be out here actually like making my coffee and, you know, kind of clinking around a little bit in the morning, and they sleep through all of it because they have their white noise on their sound machine, and that has been a huge lifesaver as well. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned while living tiny through this winter has just been that you can really live with a lot less than you think you can. And even once we had moved in here, I still was wanting to get rid of stuff, things that like I didn't even use that much, and or had other items that could be of multiple use or like have multiple uses. And I still feel like with this setup that this is huge next to a lot of other tiny homes or a lot of other camper dwellers. I know that there's a lot of really small campers out there that people live in and can do with a lot less, and I know that there's a lot of things even now that I could do with a lot less if I really wanted to. There is some really exciting news and things coming up in my life on this channel specifically, so definitely stay tuned to that. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. I'm glad that you came to check out my tiny home, and I'd love it if you stuck around. Don't forget, you can find more links in the description box, and leave me a comment. I always love reading your comments and responding to the ones that I can. And I think that's all I have for today's video. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.